And she went and tweeted at this. And she actually, in defense of Caitlyn, let me make this clear. CC can speak about having white privilege without hating herself. She can acknowledge the reality of race disparities without pandering to any group. She can celebrate the giants who've come before without diminishing her own historic accomplishments.
WNBA veteran Temi Fagbenle has stepped up to set the record straight. With passion and no filters, she's made it crystal clear. This isn't about race or privilege. It's about the real barriers holding women's basketball back.
Attempting to have Caitlin Clark's back, and Caitlin Clark should not apologize for being white, should not hate herself, and being white has...
Something absolutely jaw-dropping has gone down in the WNBA. Temi Fagbenle, who's seen the ups and downs of the sport, has come out swinging to defend Caitlin Clark. What she had to say is flipping the script and shaking the sports world to its core.
I think she should say what she wants to say, but to ignore that there is a certain amount of people, certain amount of idiots that will take what Caitlin Clark has said as justification of Caitlin Clark effectively being a DEI hire for WNBA, as quoted by AJ Wilson's good friend.
Let me walk you through the backstory. All started with Caitlin Clark's Time magazine interview. She spoke openly about her white privilege and used her platform to highlight the contributions of Black players who laid the foundation for the WNBA.
So I know there's been so many amazing Black women that have been in this league, and continuing to uplift them I think is very important. And
the reactions? A mixed bag. Some applauded her boldness, while others were quick to criticize. But what came next was a curveball no one saw coming. Let me introduce you to Tamy Fagbenle. If her name doesn't ring a bell, let me spell it out for you. She's a battle-hardened veteran of women's basketball. From international courts to the WNBA, she's been in the thick of it, fighting tooth and nail for recognition in a sport that hasn't always given its players their due. When someone with her experience speaks up, people don't just listen, they sit up and take notes. And this time, she dropped a bombshell that left everyone stunned. Fagbenle tackled something nobody else dared to address: the real influence Caitlin Clark is wielding in the league. But here's the twist. She didn't just jump on the bandwagon of critics. Nope, she flipped the narrative entirely and came at it from a fresh, unexpected angle. Talk about shaking things up. For over 20 years, let that sink in, 2 whole decades, the WNBA had been pleading for something as basic as chartered flights. Players were stuck flying commercial, dealing with endless delays, missed connections, and all the chaos that comes with it. Then Caitlin Clark arrives, and within just 2 weeks, boom, chartered flights become a reality. Fagbenle didn't hold back, basically saying, "Are we seriously going to pretend this isn't a win for everyone?" But she didn't just leave it at that. Oh no, she came armed with receipts. Since Clark stepped onto the scene, the numbers have been off the charts. Attendance at games, sky high, TV ratings, breaking records left and right, the WNBA draft on ABC and ESPN, pulling in stats we've never seen before. Fagbenle made it clear, this isn't just a win for Clark, it's a win for the entire league. Everyone's eating at this table, and it's about time. Let's cut to the chase. Fagbenle wasn't about to let the noise slide. She called out how some folks in the WNBA were twisting the narrative, acting as if Caitlin Clark's success was somehow stealing the spotlight from other players. And honestly, Fagbenle wasn't having it. She broke it down in simple terms. Why pick a fight with someone who's actually making things better for everyone? It's like getting mad at the person who lands the whole office a raise just because they're new. Doesn't add up, does it? What made her response stand out wasn't just her no-nonsense approach. It was the way she tackled the privilege debate. Fagbenle pointed out that Clark didn't just sit back and acknowledge her privilege. She rolled up her sleeves and used her platform to highlight the contributions of Black players. She gave credit where it was due, especially to the trailblazers who built the WNBA. And as Fagbenle put it, you don't see that every day. To drive her point home, she drew a sharp comparison to the civil rights era. Back then, allies weren't turned away. They were embraced because progress needs every hand on deck. That's exactly the message she wanted to hammer into this conversation. Stop nitpicking who's helping and start focusing on the actual goal. Her perspective hit like a ton of bricks. If you're going to be mad, aim your frustration at the system that's held women's basketball back for decades. Blame the decision makers who ignored these athletes' needs for years. But don't go after someone who's finally moving the needle. And just when you thought she was done, Fagbenle pulled out another ace. She pointed out how some people were so hung up on who's driving the change that they were blind to the bigger picture. The league is finally scoring wins, better travel conditions, more media attention, bigger audiences. Isn't that what everyone's been fighting for all along? The way she laid it out wasn't just logical, it was a wake-up call. Progress doesn't knock politely at the door. Sometimes it barges in when you least expect it. And when that happens, you better be ready to grab the opportunity with both hands. When the dust settled, Fagbenle's words stood out like a lighthouse in the fog. She cut straight to the heart of the matter. Real change doesn't happen by pushing people away. The recipe for success has always been about building bridges, not burning them. History shows us that every major movement for equality thrived because people from different walks of life came together for a shared goal. That's exactly what Caitlin Clark is trying to pull off. Fagbenle wasn't just talking, she was driving the point home. Clark isn't simply acknowledging her privilege, she's using her spotlight to shine on the black players who built the WNBA brick by brick. Instead of taking away from anyone's legacy, she's stacking bricks on the foundation others laid. As Fagbenle said, that's how you add to the story, not erase it. And here's the kicker. Success in women's sports isn't some pie that runs out if someone else takes a slice. Clark bringing in eyeballs and attention doesn't mean other players lose their shine. If anything, it's like turning on a brighter light that lets everyone's talent be seen. The legends who paved the way for this league are finally getting the recognition they've deserved all along. But where Fagbenle's message really hit home was when she zoomed out and looked at the bigger picture. This isn't just about Caitlin Clark or one breakout season. It's about the future of women's basketball. The stakes are higher than ever. She broke down the business angle with pinpoint accuracy. Before Clark, convincing sponsors to invest in the WNBA was like pulling teeth. Now, brands are lining up, broadcasters are scrambling for rights, and social media engagement is through the roof. This influx of money and attention isn't just padding one player's resume, it's raising the entire league's profile. Everybody wins when the tide rises. So here's the bottom line. Fagbenle isn't just defending Clark, she's defending progress. And in her eyes, if you're not on board with that, you're missing the whole point. Fagbenle didn't shy away from laying it all out. She got into the nitty-gritty of how WNBA salaries once compared to their male counterparts. Spoiler alert, it was downright humiliating. But now, with the league getting the attention it's been craving, and the money finally pouring in, real conversations are happening. We're talking about raising salary caps, improving player benefits, and upgrading facilities. And Fagbenle? She hit the nail on the head with, "Are we seriously going to whine about who kick-started these changes?" Then she dropped a bombshell that made everyone sit up and take notice. The same folks who are side-eyeing Clark now were the ones crying out for more media coverage, sponsorship deals, and investment in the WNBA. And now that it's finally happening, Fagbenle was quick to remind them, sometimes blessings don't come in the wrapping paper you were expecting. But what really made her words stick was when she shifted gears and talked about the global ripple effect. Having played basketball around the world, Fagbenle knows exactly how the WNBA is seen on an international stage. The buzz around the league isn't just giving American players a leg up. It's opening doors for aspiring athletes everywhere. She broke down the business angle with pinpoint accuracy. Before Clark, convincing sponsors to invest in the WNBA was like pulling teeth. Now, brands are lining up, broadcasters are scrambling for rights, and social media engagement is through the roof. This influx of money and attention isn't just padding one player's resume, it's raising the entire league's profile. Everybody wins when the tide rises. So here's the bottom line. Fagbenle isn't just defending Clark, she's defending progress. And in her eyes, if you're not on board with that, you're missing the whole point. Fagbenle didn't shy away from laying it all out. She got into the nitty-gritty of how WNBA salaries once compared to their male counterparts. Spoiler alert, it was downright humiliating. But now, with the league getting the attention it's been craving, and the money finally pouring in, real conversations are happening. We're talking about raising salary caps, improving player benefits, and upgrading facilities. And Fagbenle? She hit the nail on the head with, Are we seriously going to whine about who kick-started these changes? Then she dropped a bombshell that made everyone sit up and take notice. The same folks who are side-eyeing Clark now were the ones crying out for more media coverage, sponsorship deals, and investment in the WNBA. And now that it's finally happening, Fagbenle was quick to remind them, sometimes blessings don't come in the wrapping paper you were expecting. But what really made her words stick was when she shifted gears and talked about the global ripple effect. Having played basketball around the world, Fagbenle knows exactly how the WNBA is seen on an international stage. The buzz around the league isn't just giving American players a leg up. It's opening doors for aspiring athletes everywhere. She shared a touching story about young players she's met overseas who are tuning into WNBA games for the very first time. They're not just discovering Caitlin Clark, they're witnessing Aja Wilson dominate the court, learning about Breanna Stewart's brilliance, and hearing the stories of the trailblazers who built this league from scratch. And when it came to the critics, Fagbenle didn't pull any punches. She called out the hypocrisy of wanting the league to grow, but only on specific terms. As she put it, progress doesn't always waltz in through the front door. Sometimes it sneaks in through the window, and you better be ready to roll out the welcome mat. At the end of the day, her message was loud and clear. You can't cherry-pick how progress shows up. What matters is that it's here, and it's lifting everyone up with it. Fagbenle really hit a nerve with this one. She talked about how today's young players, no matter where they come from, are finally seeing something they've never seen before. A women's basketball league in the spotlight. We're talking primetime coverage, massive sponsorship deals, and real mainstream attention. And then she dropped a gem. Why are we arguing about who turned on the lights instead of celebrating that people can finally see what we've been building all along? But Fagbenle wasn't just here to defend Clark. She had her eyes set on the bigger picture. She pointed out that this could be a game-changing moment for women's basketball if people could just get out of their own way. Every major sports league has that pivotal moment, the one where it goes from barely surviving to thriving. According to Fagbenle, this could be that moment for the WNBA. She didn't just stop there. The stats she brought up were jaw-dropping. Viewership is through the roof, social media engagement is at an all-time high, and merchandise sales are breaking records. But she made one thing very clear. None of this means anything if the league can't come together and capitalize on this momentum. As she put it, we can either waste time fighting over credit, or we can use this moment to build a movement. And then came her breakdown of the economics. It was an eye-opener. She explained how more attention means more money, which leads to higher salaries, better facilities, and a real shot for young girls dreaming of a basketball career. It's a ripple effect that benefits everyone, from the players to the fans to the league itself. But Fagbenle didn't stop there. She took it a step further and asked the kind of question that leaves you quiet. In 20 years, how do we want to remember this moment? As a time we fought over petty issues, or as the moment we came together and elevated women's basketball to heights we never imagined? She didn't just shut down the critics. She crushed the idea that celebrating Clark's success somehow erases the struggles of the players who came before her. Fagbenle made it clear that acknowledging progress today doesn't invalidate the fight of those who laid the groundwork. If anything, it proves that their hard work wasn't in vain. Those pioneers sacrificed so much so that women's basketball could reach moments like this. Her closing words were powerful. In sports, just like in life, sometimes you have to put your ego aside and celebrate someone else's win, especially when their success lifts everyone up. She challenged the WNBA community to think beyond personal feelings and focus on what really matters, the future of the game. By the end of it, one thing was obvious. Fagbenle wasn't just defending Clark. She was defending the right for women's basketball to evolve. Her message was simple yet profound. Progress doesn't always look the way we expect, but that doesn't mean it's not worth embracing. We can either keep fighting over who gets credit, or we can build something future generations will thank us for. Now that's the kind of mic drop moment that leaves you thinking.